I will always have some nostalgic feelings towards the first The Exterminator movie from 1980. It was one of the earlier exploitation films I saw in an early age, and it was always available for cheap on DVD and VHS in my neighborhood country of Sweden. I've known for years that there was a sequel made for it, but never actually got around to giving it a chance before today. The Exterminator 2 follows our main guy from the first movie, John Eastland, as he's now fully embraced his double life of having a normal life with a cute new dancing girlfriend, while also spending his spare time scanning for criminals to punish with his flamethrower and exterminator gear. A new gang of thugs are emerging from the gritty streets, with a new fearless leader going by the name of simply X, out for revenge after the exterminator killed off his brother in the first film. X and his crew are willing to do whatever it takes and tortures whoever they can to bring the exterminator out in the open for a final fight that will leave either him or them exterminated. The Exterminator 2 was a very troubled production. The producer of the first film, Mark Buntzman, was in charge of this one after teaming up with the infamous 80s B-movie production company Cannon Group. This was the first and only movie that Buntzman wrote a script for, and also the only one he would end up directing. Cannon was not happy at all with the original cut that Buntzman had put together, so they ended up hiring William Sachs, who had done stuff like The Incredible Melting Man and Galaxina, to do rewrites and reshoots. The reshoots had to be done in Los Angeles and not in New York, where the original cut was filmed. Sachs also didn't have the luxury of having the main star of the film, Robert Ginty, available as he was currently filming another movie. So we had the Exterminator in full flamethrowing gear for most of the reshoots to hide the fact that these scenes was done without the star, Ginty. Sitting through this movie, there is no doubt that all the production troubles affected the final product. But the biggest disappointment for me was the tone of the movie. Instead of being gritty and realistic like the first one, this one ends up being a cartoonish vigilante movie that are trying to be more fun cheese than grimy and gruesome. There's also hardly a plot going on here. John Eastland is the good guy, X and his crew are the bad guys, and then they fight. Due to the production issues, I guess that some of it should be excused, but it doesn't exactly help make the experience any better while you are watching the film. The best vigilante movies usually have a hero that has been through some tough shit and becomes damaged by it. Well, that can also be said about Eastman, considering what the character went through in the first film. We as viewers don't feel that on this one. His friend gets gunned down and his love interest is beaten up a little in this one, but we will never really feel the anger and despair of the character after these terrible situations. Basically, the character isn't sadly interesting in this one, and Ginty wasn't exactly charming enough to carry a poorly written character by himself. His enemy in the story, X, is played by a young mighty one Peebles in one of the earlier roles. He and his gang of forgettable hoodlums look like they came directly off auditioning for a Mad Max rip-off movie. They're all very over the top and cartoonish, looking more ridiculous than intimidating. As we all know, the 80s had some questionable fashion choices, and that's very apparent in The Exterminator 2. And what's with all the roller skating thugs, when was that ever a thing? When Peebles does stand out though, as he actually does give a damn about his performance, and has the talents to make his part interesting. Now he would go on to give a much better and more memorable performance a year later in the underrated and sadly forgotten South Bronx Heroes. The way the action scenes where the thugs are causing havoc is filmed comes off very corny. There are way too much use, or abuse, of slow motion, and the music score by David Spear gives it a cartoonish, video game feeling. In fact, the music could probably have been great in a Nintendo or Super Nintendo game. It's not a bad music on its own, it just doesn't feel like this was the movie to use it in. Even if it did have its troubles, it did actually manage to make back its $3 million production budget on its theatrical run alone. Adding income from VHS tapes in the glory days of the 80s, I will assume that this movie did actually make a few bucks in the end. It did end up having a lot of different cuts being released in different parts of the world on VHS though, and for what I can gather, it seems like the Greek VHS tape was the most complete. In 2013, the great guys from Shout Factory released it on a DVD set of 4 movies called Action-Packed Movie Marathon. The other 3 movies of the set was Cyclone, Alienator, and Eye of the Tiger. Now that should give you some idea what type of movie this is. The Exterminator 2 can't hold a flamethrower to the original. It was a troubled production with a first-time director that couldn't hide his inexperience on it. It was not what I personally wanted after having fond memories of the first one, and might have bumped it up half a point if that fact didn't disappoint me so much. Even so, The Exterminator 2 is not good. Fans of trashy vigilante flicks from the 80s have plenty of other films to choose from, so I have a hard time recommending anyone to pick this one up unless you already have it as a guilty pleasure of yours and feel like revisiting it. Which if you do, then this review won't matter to you anyway. For me though, The Exterminator 2 only gets a 2 out of 5. So, am I the only one that was disappointed by The Exterminator 2, or are there other fans of the original out there that was also disappointed by this one? Or on the other hand, anyone out there that loves this one? I'm sure some have had more fun with this film than what I did. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below, and feel free to recommend other 80s vigilante movies that I should check out. Oh, and of course make sure to subscribe for more 80s exploitation movie reviews coming to my channel in the near future. Thank you.